Hello, my name is Leah. Welcome to NaNoWriMo week number 3. Today is Monday and I pretty much spent the first part of the morning tidying up around the apartment, getting groceries, all that kind of stuff, just to sort of settle my life into being prepared to survive, and then now I can switch my brain over to more bookish stuff. I officially turned in that freelance project yesterday on Sunday, and now I get to focus on Project Shadows. I am feeling so good this morning because I'm so excited to jump into this revision. It's hard to describe, but my relationship with this book has gone through like so many ups and downs. When I first started outlining it, I was so excited about it. I loved the characters, loved the world, everything. By the end of my zero draft, I was feeling really discouraged because obviously when you zero draft, it doesn't come out the way you really envision it coming out, because you really are just telling yourself the story, and that's the first step that just has to happen if you want to polish a book to a point where it's publishable, readable, whatever. But I persevered. I was stubborn and determined enough to say, I don't care how much I hate this, I'm getting through a revision. Like, period, end of story. I'm doing this because I knew that I can't spend the next year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, drafting stuff and never revising it just because I feel like that zero draft isn't good enough. And I was sort of thinking of the lesson that I learned with Project Fire, the first book that I ever wrote. I was very close to giving up in the middle of it, and by sheer stubbornness I made it to the end, and I'm so glad I did, because now I can zero draft, not no problem because it's always hard, but now I can do that. It's a skill that I have in my pocket now. I just had to get through that initial doing it for the first time phase. And so that's kind of what I feel happened with this past revision that I did for Project Shadows. I, again, near the end of that revision, was so fed up with everything about it that I almost put it to the side again. I mean, I did put it to the side to move on to other stuff, but not permanently. And then now finishing the end, it's, I don't know, I feel like I've turned a corner with it where I no longer hate everything about it, and I actually see the potential. I see what it can be, and I see that it's actually close to being there as well, which just feels so good. And I haven't felt that about a book that I've written before because I've never revised this far before either. Anyways, that's all to say, I'm feeling good. I'm excited to jump into a draft 3 because now it's like I know that there's still a lot of issues and I know that they need to be fixed, obviously, but it feels a lot more manageable now. It's not like the entire draft sucks, it's like certain elements of it suck, and those elements feel like they'll be easier to fix than my draft 0 to draft 1 transition. This vlog is actually going to be my last NaNoWriMo vlog, mainly because Thanksgiving, so I'll be combining weeks 3 and 4, so this vlog actually will go until next Tuesday, because on Wednesday I am leaving with my husband to go up to Pennsylvania to visit his family, and then we'll be there basically until the end of November. But because of that, my goal before we leave is to finish a list, essentially. The way that I'm prepping for this next revision is I'm kind of going through all of my beta reader feedback, and I'm putting the notes that they gave me into bullet point form, and then I am putting that in the chapter that it applies to. So I'll be working on that, and then I'm going to do a read through of the draft myself with my printed copy. It's so nice holding that in my hand, where I can mark it up, note those places where I need to make those changes, find the places where I can insert stuff, find the places that I can cut things, and then also make any notes that I personally saw and want to change that maybe the beta readers didn't say, but that I know needs to be fixed as well. Today I'm starting with working something out about the end. I have a decision that I need to make. I have 2 different versions of the end, and I essentially need to pick which one I want to stick with and move forward with, and that be sort of just the permanent decision for the book. And this will affect the series as a whole. I kind of envision this as a trilogy, so I kind of need to sit down today, figure out what I want from this book, figure out what I want from the trilogy, and then figure out which end serves those things best in book 1. Hello! So, despite the fact that my hair is wet, it is not in fact the morning. It's about noon now, hence my lunch. I've been having a really good morning so far, which feels phenomenal. Yesterday, I've thought a lot about what each different ending would mean for the series as a whole, and I think that while for book 1, option number 2 feels like it could be the more interesting one, option number 1 is definitely, I think, better for the series as a whole because it sets up a better series arc rather than cramming a bunch of stuff that I want to happen into book 1. Option 1 is the thing that I originally had in my 0 draft. However, I never actually wrote most of it because, as I've mentioned before, I didn't fully write my act 3 in my 0 draft. And option 2 is the one that is in my draft 1, so that is the version of the end that my beta readers read. And again, I don't think it's bad or wrong by any means. I just think that option 1 might serve the series better. I don't want to keep flip-flopping back and forth between the two. I want to just pick something and stick with it, but at the same time, picking something and sticking with it doesn't necessarily mean that I can't change my mind further down the road as well. It obviously means that I would have to revise more later, but right now that's what my gut is telling me, is to stick with option 1. I thought that that would mean that this upcoming revision draft that I do was going to need a lot more to change in it in order to accommodate that first ending, but what I started working on yesterday and what I've been working on today is re-outlining the book with that end in mind, and then also noting under each chapter, each scene, what changes I want to make in the upcoming draft. And really, there wasn't much that needed to change. All of the stuff that sets up option 1's end is already there because a lot of the stuff that happens in it also happens in option 2, just more behind the scenes and it's less upfront. So I'm essentially just bringing that section of the story to the forefront. All that really means is leaning into those moments where I'm foreshadowing this that's going to happen, and then cutting some of the foreshadowing that works for option 2's end. Although option 2 will still be happening, it's just a book 2 thing now. So I still need to keep a lot of that foreshadowing, which means that not a ton of my book actually has to change, especially in terms of surface level plot. Pretty much all of that can stay the same, other than what I already know I want to change, which has been very encouraging to see. It's good to know that this decision of changing the ending isn't going to be something that throws this draft into absolute chaos. It's not going to be like a comprehensive rewrite by any means, and it still feels like a more precision type of revision, if that makes sense. Draft 0 to draft 1 was like an overhaul. I know a lot of times people will use the analogy of like archaeology for the process of writing a book. So my draft 0 was like uncovering the main bones of this skeleton that I've discovered, aka the story. Taking it from draft 0 to draft 1 was uncovering the shape of the whole skeleton as a whole, and then, you know, clearing out the dirt in between bones, getting ready to really extract those bones from the ground. And then this draft 2 is where we really start to get more precise, working on specific bones, clearing the dirt off of them, making them nice and pretty, and bones aren't really shiny, but nice and pretty and shiny. The metaphor kind of starts to break down there. We're using the dusting tool and not the chisel, which is just an exciting mindset to enter into a draft with, because, you know, it's one step closer to being like done. And done is a very relative thing. It's not ever done until it's published and put on shelves and I can't physically change it anymore, but it's one step closer to being what I want it to be. I piled on the avocado on this thing, dang. Sorry, that was like a long explanation, but that's what I'm doing. I'm excited to try this method out. I really love it so far. And then once I finish adding my beta reader notes to this list, I'm just going to pull out the draft and start reading it myself, making notes, and marking where those notes can be implemented in the draft as is. So that's my plan for now. I will keep you updated on how that works for me, but I have a good feeling. I'm gonna finish eating my lunch and then we will get back to work. Good morning on this fine Wednesday. So far this morning I have been working on editing the week 2 vlog. If you recognize this fit, it's because I just filmed the wrap up for that one because, as we all know, I suck at remembering to actually wrap up the vlogs. I'm feeling good today though, which is exciting. Yesterday I started marking up the manuscript. Tell me why I was like afraid to put pen to paper whenever it came time to actually sit down with my printed version of the book. It was like I didn't want to ruin it, but like that's kind of the point. Like, this is not the final version. It's already ruined by the words that are in it. Marking it up will only make it better. So I came up with a little system. I have 4 different color highlighters. Green is for stuff that I really like. It's not a necessary step, but I want to make sure that I am noting the things that I think I like that are working, whether that's an individual line or a section of a chapter or scene. That way I know not to change it going forward, and also to give myself a little bit of encouragement along the way. Yellow is for inserting things, so there are a few new elements in this draft. Nothing major other than the end changing basically completely, but there are some little bits of information that I need to insert at different places, mainly in terms of exposition and being able to set up and foreshadow the events of the end. Pink is for reworking, so it's not that what's there is wrong or bad, and it's not that it's necessarily new information that needs to be in there, but I just need to rework it in some form or another, either to emphasize a certain point or de-emphasize a certain point so that the right thing comes across. And then orange is for just straight up cutting. So anything that I'm like, nope, this doesn't need to be in here, cut it, throw it out, that's what gets highlighted in orange. And then obviously I'm just kind of making notes with my black pencil along the way. And then I have my red pencil for any, I don't know, stuff that I feel like writing in red for. I got through 30 pages of that yesterday. Today though, I did not give myself any actual Project Shadows work. I essentially wanted to time block this day as a YouTube day, so that's why I've been spending the morning editing. I'm about to insert that wrap-up clip and then do one final pass of the video, and then I can do the whole export upload thumbnail thing. After that, I want to take a moment to kind of wrap my brain around some of the other YouTube stuff I've got going on, because October was so chaotic for me that I just need to kind of do a little reset for YouTube. Thankfully, NaNoWriMo is pretty straightforward. I'm just doing weekly vlogs for this month, and that's a pretty easy thing to do, to just sit down for a little bit in the day and update you guys on where I'm at. But I want to have a plan going into December, and I want to have some stuff at least planned, if not pre-filmed, before Thanksgiving, so that I'm not rushed whenever December hits right after that. So those are my main goals for today, is to figure out YouTube stuff. But I know that that's not going to last me for the rest of the day. It is currently 12:13 exactly at the moment. I know I will have a few hours at the end of the day to keep working on Project Shadows, which what's great about that is it feels like a reward and not actual work, just because I'm so excited to jump into it. Anything on that I get done today is going to be extra in terms of my plans, which will just get me ahead and be awesome. My goal is to be 100% through the read-through / note-taking / outlining phase of prepping for draft 2 before next Wednesday. So we're leaving Wednesday to go to Pennsylvania. That's whenever I want to be absolutely finished with all of that, so that as soon as I get back, I can jump into the actual revising part. However, it would be nice if I could finish by Friday. I think I might be able to, honestly, just based on how quickly those 30 pages went by yesterday. I'm not holding myself to that though. That's just like my stretch goal for the week. Again, yes, I have re-dyed my hair. I didn't want to go to Thanksgiving with the gross faded blue-green that it was before. So this was a bit overdue. I just wanted to pop in for a final update. Tomorrow I am leaving for Pennsylvania and I do not intend to vlog pretty much for the rest of November, so this is going to be the end of the vlog today. My goal was to finish my read-through of Project Fire and doing my own personal notes on it by today, basically by the time that I leave, and I did finish that, and I actually started working on chapter 1. So I'm officially like 640-ish words into chapter 1 of the revision. I spent a very long time agonizing over the first line because the one that I had like wasn't it wasn't anything special. It was just kind of like me starting the scene, but now it's time to like actually be a little bit more specific about that. We did the thing, we're working on the chapter, and draft 2 has officially begun. I don't plan to work on it while I'm at my in-laws' house just because, you know, family time, but I am going to be bringing my laptop and the printed out draft just in case there's like some downtime where I feel like working on it. So my total word count for NaNoWriMo 2021 is 640 something. Great. Let me know down below what you were working on for NaNoWriMo. Did you meet your goals? How did it go? Whether you were trying to get to the 50K or not, any progress is progress, and Nano is just a fun time to get together with the community and be excited about writing and just do the thing. Whether or not we make the 50K, I clearly did not do that this year. Hopefully next year will line up well to where I can actually draft a project for NaNoWriMo, because there's just something so fun and magical about drafting in November. I was getting tired of being in sprints like, well, I'm making notes on pages. I don't have a word count to report, but it was good. I'm very excited to continue working on Project Shadows and excited that it's getting closer to being what I want it to be. But that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.